Then Marcus Peters, a man who immediately upon joining the Baltimore Ravens defense from the Los Angeles Rams, game changer, difference maker, big stud for them, torn ACL. And allegedly Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters in practice, that was one play after another. Torn ACL, and Harbaugh was like, everybody get off the fucking field. They signed Latavius Murray, they signed Devontae Freeman, and they signed Le'Veon Bell. Let's assume Latavius Murray is going to be their starter. Let's assume that Le'Veon Bell still has some in the tank. We don't know. Devontae Freeman, so maybe they'll be able to pick up where they left off. Marcus Peters is going to be a massive loss on the defensive side. Before we get to Coach JB, your thoughts on what's going on with the Ravens? This stinks. Like, injuries happen, but this stinks for them right now.
Especially injuries that happen in practice too. Like that hurts even worse because like, oh, I guess this is kind of avoidable, but yeah, it's especially when it's great players like that too. Marcus Peters, I think that's a huge loss. That dude is like the lifeblood of that secondary for sure.
He was the pick immediately right to the logo, not even thinking. Hey, I remember what y'all fuckers did 8 weeks ago. You think we forgot? No. Pick to win it right to the logo, and that was perfect shit talk.
Unbelievable.
That was exactly how it's supposed to go. You know, that's exactly what's supposed to happen in that whole thing with what obviously the Titans did when they went to Baltimore, which caused us to think who would win in a fight between Vrabel and Harbaugh, and everybody on this show went quickly to, Vrabel would beat the fuck out of that guy. And not that Harbaugh's not a tough guy, it's just Vrabel will literally eat a pack of cigarettes, chug a case of beer, and then go run sprints and win a Super Bowl, and he has that mustache, and he's still fighting NFL players on a daily basis. Another coach that I feel like, if he ever makes it to the NFL, which, by the way, who says no?
Who says no?
Me.
Champion. Coach, superstar of Last Chance U, and a man who will be joining us every Feel Good Friday, founder of Slapdick Whiskey. Ladies and gentlemen, the real Coach JB, Jason Brown.
Yeah! What up? You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound great. How you doing, dude?
Hey, I'm hanging in there, brother. You?
Hey, not too shabby. I appreciate you joining us. We are very excited for this. And I said this to everybody that was listening yesterday. Like, I have no idea how the crowd is going to feel and the audience is going to feel about Coach JB every single week. Every time you've come on, it's been good reaction, but I have no idea. This is strictly for us. We are massive fans of yours, Coach. We can't thank you enough. Let's get right into it. Did you watch the NFL game last night? How many guys do you know out there, and what were your thoughts on how that whole thing unfolded?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, man. I was actually speaking to a college team, man, out here in L.A., and I got to get after that. I took one of the quarterbacks that I'm kind of mentoring and took him over to the bar. Well, not to the bar, but I drank and he sat behind me. And so kind of watched the game and kind of helped him learn the game, actually. So that's why I took him because they got a game tomorrow. But, man, you know, I broke it down like this, man. I think that was Dak Prescott's best game ever, and it was just fucking negated by the greatest of all time. I mean, that's just people that don't know the sport really don't understand. He threw for 400 and it was like 70% completion percentage, and that game will never even be remembered. Who gives a fuck? You lost.
Hey, and Coach JB, and he took a bunch of shots too. Like Dak was eating D lineman right in his body.
No doubt, taking big shots and making throws, man. I was trying to tell the quarterback it's all about your feet and shit, how you point your lead foot, and he was just like, damn. And he's just taking shot after shot. And you gave fucking Brady 1 minute too much.
Whenever you watch elite football players, and you've been around a lot of them, right? You've been around a lot of them, Coach JB, and I don't think a lot of people understand truly how big the JUCO system is into the feeder system, into D1, and then obviously into the NFL. What was the percentage of NFLer guys that were JUCO guys?
I think like 28 or something at one point.
That's huge. That is massive, obviously, especially with the way the public education system is. I mean, we can get into all that shit if we really want to, and, you know, everything, communities, and we can get into all that conversation, but the JUCO thing's a big deal. Whenever you see an elite talent that could potentially make it to the NFL, what is the first thing you got to tell them? Like, what is your first thing you're teaching these 18-year-old kids that probably have had zero authority, not because they chose for that, just kind of how their life has been? What do you tell these guys, and how do you get them to buy in?
Man, I had a conversation last night. People were asking me, like, how'd you get so many good players? I'm like, look, first of all, I was different at JUCO because I recruited NFL players, not Division I players. They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, I've been a personnel guy my whole life. I kind of been a good judge of character and evaluation of talent. And I'm like, you know, Jermaine Johnson, who just got ACC Player of the Week, against Notre Dame, DN for Florida State. Played at Georgia for the last 2 years. He was at Indy on the show with me. But I said he's an NFL player. I said he's not just a Division I guy. I said, so you got to understand there's a difference. And I try to let people understand that. And I don't think people get it. And so I tell them, I kind of tell those kids, I said, listen, man, you got to go be different. It's easy to be fucking average. You got to go fucking be different. And I'm like, you got to go do the things that others don't do. And I'm like, whatever that is. And I'm like, and don't act hurt. Raheem Boyd, my running back, who was leading the SEC in rushing at Arkansas, who don't win a fucking league game for 2 years. Basically, I'm like, dude, the Lions cut you because you were hurt. And you're an undrafted free agent rookie. And I sent him a picture of the legs of what's his name, the running back for the Giants.
Saquon.
Who just came out of surgery. Saquon, right? I'm showing him a picture of his legs. I go, look at this fucker's legs. I go, this is the difference. And look at your body. I'm like, and I said, no knock on you. I want you to go get in the league, bro. But I said, you got to be different in the weight room. You got to do the things that a lot of cats can't do. You think they living off talent. I said, do this. A D2 kid is going to try to take your job that got an unshot too. And I'm like, you got to understand that. They don't give a fuck if you played at Arkansas or wherever you played. So got to go be different, man. Everyone's average. It's easy to be average. That's how I kind of look at it. But
Hey, when you say you're recruiting like NFL type talent, how can you separate the difference between a D1 player and someone that has potential to actually play in the NFL?
Man, you know how it is when you played, brother. You know how kind of when you see a guy, you're like, well, that motherfucker's different. You know what I mean? This guy's at Ohio State with me, but this guy's different. Like he's gonna do some. This guy's gonna be an All-American here at Ohio State. May never play a snap on Sundays. It's fine line and it's really a thin line, and people don't really grasp that. Like, man, this dude's an All-American and never played in the NFL. Like, dude, there's a huge difference. Like, just for instance, last night you see this game. 2-minute drill looks like they've been doing it 15 weeks already in the NFL, right? These guys are professionals. There's a huge difference. You know how better than me. And if you watch a college game, watch some of these college games today and tomorrow. Watch Kansas versus Coastal Carolina tonight. Watch their 2-minute drill week 2. Like it's gonna look like a clusterfuck, right? You're always gonna know what the fuck to do. Cats are gonna run it and stay in bounds and shit and run the clock. Like these dudes are like professionals. Click, 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 and it's like it's different. Like these guys are different. And I try to tell people all the time, but to answer your question, it's like, you know how it is, long, rangy. I do a thing called hands down, hips down. So I want to see your heels on the ground with your palms on the ground. And people think I'm just being an asshole doing it. And I'm like, no, that's actually evaluating talent. If you can't bend at 6'8" and touch your heels and your palms at the same time, you're probably not going to make it. And I'm like, I got dudes that do that. I got 6'8" dudes, 360 that can do that shit. I'm like, well, that motherfucker's a knuckle dragger. He's a freak. So, those are kind of just evaluation of that. And I knew where he was going to, people that were recruiting him, obviously, okay, this guy's been recruited by Alabama, Georgia. I'm like, all right, well, he ain't going to make it. I'm going to get ahead of the game on that academically. I know he ain't making it. And then I say, fuck the kid. I don't even recruit the kid. I go straight to the fucking mama.
Smart. I think that is the move by a lot of college coaches. And let's dive into the college football weekend. You just said a Kansas team. I don't know if it was Kansas State or Kansas. And obviously you had great success in Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you became a superstar in Kansas. You won a championship in Kansas. But you still have dreams, aspirations to be big-time coach, right? That is not by big-time, obviously, no shot, but I'm talking big time school, bigger place. You still have dreams and aspirations for that, right? That's not something that you've given up on?
Man, I haven't given up on it, but it's not a burning desire like it once was because of just how fucking soft and enabled we've become. But I don't know. I just don't want to I don't want to recruit your kid, sign your kid, get your kid, and then you give me a fucking decommit letter on Twitter. Like, I don't want to see that shit. That's what I'm going to avoid. And I've never had that happen. The kid's never left me after I've signed him, which is a little different, I think, than most. But this world's different, especially during COVID, man. I'm watching these guys coach yesterday, and I'm just like, how the fuck do you do it when you got every single swinging dick excuse out there? Every kid's coming late, fucking this. COVID's the excuse. And it's like, fuck, man, I don't know if I could do it, but fuck. I talked to a personnel guy at the CFL yesterday. So, professional football may be an avenue.
Oh,
there we go.
Hey, let's go, JB.
Maybe better. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this is what people don't get, man. strong minds suffer without complaining, and fucking weak minds complain without suffering. That shit happens all the time. That's the world we're living in right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, that's deep. That was deep right
go.
there.
Uh-huh.
Hey, let's go, Coach.
That is. Hey, we had James Harrison on. Coach James Harrison was saying some of kind of similar things about that. Like, do you see that with whatever the mindset is? And you're saying, guys, like, yeah, you got to make sure you're available, you're durable, you're there, and you're not complaining. Like, is it going to switch back, or is there going to always be like, is that going to grow in that movement of, hey, like, yeah, maybe a little softer than it was?
Man, that's a good ass question, man. That's a debate that people are gonna have. But it's like I see these people on social media saying, "Well, Coach, I know you talk about everyone's soft all the time, but look who's raising us." And I'm like, "Well, let's look who's raising you, motherfucker. It ain't me." and then I'm like, "Your dad? You're saying your daddy's my age? No, he's not. Your daddy ain't my fucking age. And if he's allowing that shit, he sure ain't coaching it. And you know that's the old adage: you coach it or you allow it. And I don't know, to be honest, AJ, shit, man, that's like a good question because, you know, when are we going to break the damn generational curse or whatever you may call it? Because I don't know, man. That's the reason that probably not coaching right now either. And, like, is there a ploy behind that shit? Like, are we getting hard coaches out of the business? Like, look at the business that's starting to be so-called, quote-unquote, progressive. Like, look at we're hiring people that we've never hired before in the profession. And so, people are like, well, shit, we can have different debates about that too. And it's just like, well, I don't know, man. Are we ever going to break the softness? But it's such a 7-on-7 personal trainer, fucking soft mentality nowadays that it's like AAU basketball, which is, really not really a collision sport like football. It's a contact sport, even though it's not. It's big pussy sport. But the bottom line is you got these 7-on-7 trainer cats that wear these soft helmets now, soft shoulder pads. Like, remember when we played 7-on-7? Well, first of all, we played in the fucking street with the street lights and the headlights were the touchdown. And dude, I had dudes getting their temples hit on curbs and being fucking catatonic. They're out. And I'm like, and we're like, get the fuck up, let's go. Like nowadays you go to jail and fucking have everybody like will be there like, oh fuck, you're a criminal. I'm like, holy fuck, man, we're just playing turkey ball on Thanksgiving. I don't know, AJ. That's a good question, dude. I don't know. It's gonna take some older cats, I think, to break the curse and try to put it back down on people. But
Coach,
Yep.
When we would go telephone pole to telephone pole, obviously, and I was the only kid that could go telephone pole to telephone pole at the youngest age, so I was almost all-time quarterback on offense. But defense was so reckless. It was so fucking reckless what was going on out there. You would be the worst parent of the year. If I let him, like, no, you gotta go play on the street. Yeah, you guys don't have a field. Who gives a fuck? Telephone pole to telephone pole. How are we supposed to do this? Well, I mean, I guess you could do two-hand tag, but it's going to you guys are going to hit each other. Probably. If I had to guess, it's going to get in there. Like, you go to jail for that now. And I think that Foxy has this take, and you're not going to love this because you're from sunny Compton, California or whatever. Foxy says that if you grow up in a state that has winter, like, you naturally have some grit. Because you have to open the door in the middle of January and February, and literally pneumonia is hitting you in the face. I mean, you're getting frozen there. There's just some sort of buildup that happens, like something that happens whenever you have to deal with that every single day. I think the same thing in sports and with what you have to go through, but now with science and knowledge of what that could potentially lead to and what's the worst case that has ever happened in this particular situation, I think it's going to be very difficult to change. I think everybody knows that they're just going to have to kind of ride the wave through it. You know what I mean, Coach?
Nah, I hear you, man. I got a quick story, man. I had a go-kart. My dad built me a go-kart, man, with like a Briggs & Stratton fucking motor, a lawnmower motor on the back, like 8 horsepower or whatever. And I'm driving around our little our little apartment complex, like damn near the project, right? I'm the only white kid on it. I'm driving around this thing and the brakes go out. I literally see the brake spring come out, float in the air, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm going like 60 miles an hour. And there's a brick wall, I know, at the end of my block. And I'm like, there's no way out of this. So I can't get out of it. And fuck, dude, I try to turn it. I smack the wall, fucking side. I break like 3 ribs. I don't know I didn't know I did. So I get up, my side's bleeding. I'm fucking like, can't walk. I'm like, literally, I know I can't cry. Dude, I didn't give a fuck about any of that. I was so scared to tell my dad I wrecked that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I took the go-kart in the garage, put a towel over it. The axle was bent. Everything was fucked up. And, you know, the moral of the story is I told my mom like an hour later because she told me to go drop these VHS videotapes off at the fucking video store. And I had to walk like a mile, and I'm literally the most pain I've ever been in. I get back and I'm like 11, dude. I'm like, fuck, I can't walk no more. And she's like, what the fuck? So I tell her, right? She's a nurse, by the way. The nurturing mother tells, don't tell dad. I won't tell your dad right now. Da-da-da-da-da. And that's the world we're living in right now. Everybody's a nurturing mother. We have no dad that is willing to put the fear of God in you in a nurturing way too, though. My dad wasn't going to beat me or kill me or fucking take me out back and fucking throw me into the fucking wolves den. He was gonna, but I had that respect fear that was like,
yeah,
all right, I fucked you because you gave me this thing, and now I feel I let you down.
Hey,
but motherfuckers don't have that no more. People are sitting there telling me yesterday at practice, telling the head coach, "Nah, coach, I'm gonna do this." I almost like I'm just out there helping and talking. I was like, "Motherfucker, I'll choke the shit out of you." Have you paid mortgage, motherfucker? Have you paid a light bill or anything? And it's funny. It's crazy, man, how people are just allowing that shit, though. Nobody checked them. Nobody corrected them because he don't know what he don't know. And it's like the mom at the grocery store with this kid and the kid's telling her what the fuck to buy for dinner. Like, motherfucker, you're going to eat shit and liver. That don't happen no more. They don't go down no more. It's like we've allowed all this shit and enabled it, and somebody's got to put their foot down.
Hey, I think the big thing here is there's no hate me now, love me later. It's love me now, love me forever. You know what I mean?
You're right about that. That's true.
Go ahead, AJ. I'm sorry, bud.
Hey, Coach, what about? I think the NFL could be a great route for you. You could even break in, maybe like with you, like you said, you're a great talent evaluator. Maybe like with the scouting department. Do you have any ins with any NFL teams?
I do, man. I was actually a good friend of mine, is the O-line coach for Tomlin. Sorry.
Whoa.
At the Steelers. So Adrian Clem, good friend of mine. We grew up together. He was at UCLA forever, but Mike made him the O-line coach, man, which was huge because he was an assistant last year. And not only that, hiring a black coach on that staff where a lot of cats bash Mike Tomlin because of the lack of black coaches he has. People don't talk about people in the black community are, call him McCoon and call him this and Uncle Tom. And they're like, well, wait up. So when he hired Adrian, it was between the circles that I'm in, even at the D1 level of black coaches.
Am I supposed to tell you can't say that? Am I supposed to be the one to, because I feel like, honestly, you're the one who grew up as the only white person in your community. You have a much better. Am I supposed to say, like, hey, there's no way you're allowed to say what you just fucking said right there? Am I supposed to say that to you right there?
Nah, nobody's ever going to say nothing to you. Don't worry about it. They know.
I'll never say
it's real. These motherfuckers know the deal. This is the bottom line. Adrian Clem's there now, was one of the highest paid O-line coaches in America. Good dude. Grew up together. He's now there. He's going to try to see if he can get me in with Mike as like on an interim level or like for OTAs next year or something. COVID kind of fucked it up with the NFL not allowing a lot of visitors in and stuff. So not the minority, even though I should be a minority coach, I should get that shit because white privilege never fucking affected me. But at the same time, maybe I can get into one of those type of internship deals, and like the minority internships that the NFL does, the Bill Walsh stuff and all those things. Maybe that can happen. Fuck, they got the Rooney Rule, which really is a fucking slap in the face anyway. But nobody wants to talk about that shit. Right?
Thank you, Coach. Okay, we're gonna. Hey, I have no idea what the fallout's going to be from this year, but JB, you are one of one, pal. One of one forever. Go ahead, Ty.
Coach JB, when you're looking around at some of these college teams, like I know on Twitter you were bashing Oklahoma because it's the same deal. They didn't look good against Tulane, but they're going to end up going to the playoff. Or you look at Kansas or Washington, who is supposed to be good and gets beat by Montana. Is there one place where you can look at and point and be like, shit, if I went in there tomorrow, I would be able to turn this thing around that day?
Yeah, fucking Akron, Toledo. It don't matter. To me, this is how I look at shit. Alabama is cream de la creme, right? I say it all the time. They're the ones that he's deserving of the money, if you can argue that. And then I think Dabo's this next one, and now maybe Kirby can get up there if he wins one. But the thing about it is nobody's taking guys from going to those 3 places. So they're getting the same top echelon talent every year. Somebody needs to get one of those 5 stars at Tulane or at this other place, because that's what's going to stop it and break it and start. And somebody's going to have to be different and get some. It's all about the blood. The blood life of your program is recruiting. It doesn't mean you control the talent level in your program, period. We control it as a coach. And I think coaches really think they're going to go out here and fucking out-scheme Nick Saban. Lane Kiffin out-schemed Nick Saban last year and lost 50-48. So, you got to understand, it's Jimmys and Joes. It ain't X's and O's. The better players win the games at the end, and you got to go get those dudes. And I just think it'll be give me any polo, man. I don't care. Give me if I get Pat McAfee polo, I'll have some fucking freaks walking around Indiana.
Yeah, Coach, you just mentioned Saban. I'm not sure if you saw his press conference earlier in the week about trying to kind of keep his team motivated, especially while the media is telling them that, they're going to win by 50 every game. As someone who did coach a team with studs everywhere, how hard is it to keep your team, kind of humble and just keeping them locked in on a day-to-day basis?
Man, my next degree, I'm going to get into psychology. I truly believe I'm a psychologist. Fuck coaching, fuck kinesiology, fuck PE, health. It's psychology. You have to be a fucking psychology major to fuck with these shitbirds. Because I'm just telling you, your best players are going to be shitbirds. Just so we're clear. The best motherfucker on your team is shitbird. And you got to get that dude to buy into your whole philosophy and get all these other fucksticks to follow, right? And then you got some good slapdicks who are just going to be kind of, the guys that are going to keep your fucking GPA high and keep your fucking API scores right. So Coach Saban gets another $100,000 fucking bonus because his APIs are fucking off the chain. And people don't look at all that shit. And, I did see what he was saying, and that's great stuff for the bulletin board and all that. But at the end of the day, he's got to have to still do it hands-on, because this is a hands-on experience-based life we live, man. He's going to have to get those kids to buy in. Fuck the press conference with the Coca-Cola and all that shit. They don't care no more. He's doing that Aflac commercials with Dion. They know it's all about money. Those kids ain't stupid. You know what I mean? People call them dumb and all this shit. They're not stupid, though. So that's the difference in it. And, I don't know. That's just kind of how I looked at it. But it's good stuff. But, he's doing other things that you don't see on camera that is getting his team ready. And that's what he does better than anybody, in my opinion. My good friend Sark was his OC the last few years. Obviously, he's at Texas now. And, he told me he's similar to Pete Carroll in that regard, as far as just being different, figuring out ways to get your guys to push the right buttons at the right time. 22 of them at the same time, going the same direction is the hard part.
They have 70 guys, to your point, and that was what you said earlier is something that is not being talked about by anybody. Everybody just assumes that there's going to be 5 stars, five depth on the depth chart, 5 deep, at every position in Alabama, and you coming out and saying, well, until somebody can we not just automatically assume that every good player is going to go to Alabama? It feels like that's the case. If you're a good player, you go to Alabama, you're going to win national championship. Your practices are going to make you so much better because the players that you're going to have in there, you're going to compete against the greats. You're going to have NFL practices for 4 or 5 years probably, and then that's ultimately the dream in the end. And it's almost like a foregone conclusion at this point. He just signed for another 8 years or something like that. He just signed for another 8 years, JB. Is that just what everybody's going to have to stare down if they don't inevitably try to change that?
Yeah, man. It's what do you got to do? Turn over rocks. Think out the box. Be innovative. You're going to have to do something. I mean, this is the thing that people don't understand. Who was Nick Saban in Alabama when Pete Carroll was at USC? Can anyone fucking answer that question to me? That's the thing about it. Nobody wants to talk about that shit. USC was going into the SEC and beating the best top 2 teams. Auburn, they beat them 55-7. They beat Arkansas with a loaded McFadden and all them 55 to fucking nothing or something. Pete Carroll at his height, there was no talk of Alabama. LSU won 1, right? I think Oklahoma may have won 1. That was right when Pete started getting it going. But SC was the Alabama, obviously, and he did everything you need to do. He had Snoop Dogg at practice and fucking Debo and Ice Cube and used Hollywood, right? I don't understand how SC and UCLA are this fucking average. Like, it doesn't make sense. The top 4 Heisman candidates are from LA. I'm like, dude, hold up. The best quarterbacks in the country are from LA, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama's. Like, they're all from right here in my fucking backyard. And we're shitty at SC and UCLA. Like, that's ignorance. Like, you're shitty. You're either lazy as shit, and that just tells you how shitty LSU is, because you should have never fucking came in here and lost to UCLA. So, and it's like, how about this one? I got a spin for your crowd.
Here you go.
What if Ed Ogeron's son beats his daddy this week at McNeese State?
Do you think that's going to happen?
Going to fucking erupt the whole college football landscape and get his daddy fired. Is it going to get his daddy fired so he don't get enough? So this kid has to look at it too. Like Cody Ogeron, who I'm good friends with Ed. I'm like, Cody, you understand if you beat your daddy, you ain't getting the big body fucking Benz or the crib, the nice ass. You better be careful and shit if you go beat your daddy, because LSU may have a letdown game, dog. And let's be real. And if McNeese hangs around, his daddy has a lot of fucking stress on him right now, sleeping at night. I'll tell you that.
I'm excited to see how that game plays out, by the way, for our next chat. Tone Diggs with the last question here. I can't thank you enough for your time, Coach JB. Go ahead.
Coach, there was a lot of upsets from smaller schools versus D1 schools in the first weekend. Do you think, is there a reason for that it happens in week 1?
Hell yeah, it's a reason. It's college basketball. It's one and done now. College football has become college basketball and one and done. And I've been saying it for 3 years. Some LA Times beat writer said it, and some guy retweeted it and said, Coach JB been saying that shit for years. And then the guy's like, well, I put it on LA Times. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about your LA Times. Go back and look at my tweet or my fucking podcast from 3 years ago. So what I'm saying is the transfer portal has created not only these soft asses, right, that create hard heads, but it has allowed so you can look at it 2 ways. You got to view whatever your viewpoint may be. Is it a watered down system, or is it allowing people like they say Jalen Hurts to leave in Alabama, go to Oklahoma, get drafted? I argue, just so everybody's clear, Jalen Hurts was getting fucking drafted regardless if he went to Oklahoma, dumb fucks. He played at Alabama. He wasn't Natty. He was getting drafted. So, yes, did it raise his stock? Possibly. Did he become a better passer maybe at Oklahoma with Riley? Maybe. Who knows? But it wasn't going to affect his draft status. He was going to get picked up maybe a round later. I don't know. But it has watered it down in my estimation, because I hate soft shit. It's watered it down. Just so we're clear, there's 3,000 kids in the portal. There's 27 Division I schools. Those kids ain't going all to those D1s. So now what it's done, it's affected junior college recruiting. And if you're a legitimate D2 coach, like if you want to make a name for yourself, D2 coaches out there, you should get these kids to your place and rip it at a D2, because a lot of D2 kids are in the NFL too. Danny Woodheads of the world and a bunch of different dudes. You can make a name for yourself by getting some of these D1 kids that are in this portal to your D2 and sell them on a 4-year school instead of the JUCO coach beating you out like I would have done, saying come to my place and get re-recruited to go back to a 4-year. But a lot of these cats are so soft now, they don't want to go through that struggle, so they'll just go 4-year now, and it's kind of hurt JUCO recruiting the last few years. But it is leveled the playing field, in my opinion, more so than giving you an opportunity. It's now college basketball. Florida Gulf Coast, Gonzaga, they can win it any year now. Back in the day, it was UCLA, Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, UConn. There wasn't nobody else getting in there. Gonzaga wasn't getting in there and winning that shit. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, Montana, should they fucking ever beat Washington? No, not in this world. I don't give a fuck. That is my tight end is at Washington from Indy. That's a pandemic to me. Like, that's a fucking epidemic. Like, how the fuck is Washington lose to Montana? Like, I don't know. Northern Iowa almost beat fucking Iowa State. Like, I mean, that's what I'm trying to tell people. It's level now.
Hey, so is the transfer portal, in your opinion, good for college football? Because also now coaches, when it comes to recruiting, that's a whole nother avenue that they have to. I mean, look at Michigan State. I know Mel Tucker got some transfer portal guys, and they win their first game. Everyone's excited.
Congrats. Hey, go green.
Go white.
Yeah, that was the most racist thing said on this show today. He said go white, JB. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, I heard that shit. After what I said, you had to say that, so that's a good comeback. AJ, I don't know. Look at this, AJ. Look at it this way. You know, perception's reality.
Terrible.
Look at all the transfer portal kids that helped their teams win this week. A shitload. Notre Dame's quarterback. Fucking Jermaine at Florida State, transfer from Georgia. The Georgia quarterback from SC. Look at all these transfers that helped their teams win, in my opinion. To me, I look at it as, see, I'm a different cat. Like, I wouldn't take JT Daniels to Georgia. Like, that's just me. Like, I don't believe he's going to win a natty there. And you are other people's trash. I don't want other people's trash.
Jeez.
I want my own recruits from my own fucking blood, sweat, and tears. I want to go get my own dude and make him my own legacy. I don't want your fucking trash. And you can play at SC. How the fuck can you play here for me? That's how I look at it. And I got that different mentality. And I hate the transfer portal personally, but the soft generation loves it because now it's an out for me to go tweet a decommit letter and go to any other school. And now all these coaches are like, oh, fuck it. I won't have to go through recruiting the high school kid. I'll just go get a kid that's already been in a 4-year program. And it's hurting JUCO, I'm just telling you. And it's, in my opinion, it's made it worse. Now, people can argue and say, well, it's giving people opportunities and shit. Well, you shouldn't have chose that school then, is my argument. Because if you couldn't play there, you're shitty or you're soft. You don't want to compete, and you just want it out now and go wherever. And in my opinion, it's hurting because if you would have, back in the day, let's take the portal out right now in 2021, you put a decommit letter out there. Guess where you have to go? JUCO. Come over here and get your skin toughened, motherfucker. And now you might make it at Alabama the next time around. But now you're going where? Coastal Carolina. And now you're going to go there. And now you're just absorbed inside of another program. And you're not getting your skin toughened. You're not going through no hardships and fucking shitty dorms and shitty cafe and football jail. You're not going through football jail. So you're going to do the same shit over and over and expect a different result. And that's fucking insanity.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm excited for the insanity to continue every single Friday with you, Coach JB. I have no idea what the fallout's going to be for today, but I'm excited for it. Thankful for you stopping by, okay? Thankful for you stopping by in the conversation. Can't wait to get your reaction to this this upcoming weekend of college football next week. This was presented by Slapdick Whiskey. Hey,
hell yeah.
Slapdick Whiskey's good. So are the Stogies. I appreciate the hell out of you, Coach.
I appreciate you guys, brother. Nice meeting you, AJ. Good looking.
You too, JB. Thanks, man. Looking forward to Fridays with you.
All right.
No doubt, brother. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Brown.
Yeah!
What a guy, dude.
Man, that was awesome.
Hey, I don't think, normally, I do not believe that, I don't want whites to hear what JB says and think that they can just speak the same way JB is coach. Okay, I think that was the first time in the history of the show where I've gone, wait a minute, I think I'm supposed to, there's no way. And then he goes, I ain't gonna say shit to me, pal. JB, literally the only white dude on his block in Compton, California, right? Yes. I think he does. The reason why he says that he'll be able to recruit and crush it is because he literally has relationships, I think, in every single hood. Yeah. And he's good everywhere, and I'm so thankful. Mm-hmm. He's a big fan of the show. Yeah. Right? So he's a big fan of our show. Getting a chance to chat with him and set this up, I'm excited to learn more and more. We have to get to a break. And when we get back on the other side, we're going to answer some phone calls on 5 Hour Energy phone line, 1-833-4-McAfee. Let's hear from you about the NFL kickoff game last night. Ed Sheeran, Coach JB, what's going on this weekend, all that shit and more.